Welcome to the Who's Up podcast, where we talk about sports, financial literacy, health and wellness, and we will also cover some current events. On the panel, we have Danny Ocean from the Speak On It podcast. We have Dr. J, the owner of Created Players PT, and we also have Justin Hayden, one of the co-founders of Generational Wealth Investors LLC, and myself, TJ, the owner of Royal Family LLC. And before I pass it to the rest of the panel for them to introduce themselves, I'll tell you a little bit about me. I'm an ODU graduate with a degree in finance and accounting. I'm currently trying to complete my MBA. I'm a big car guy. I'm a 2A advocate. Most of my financial experience is with the government. I have over 10 years in federal financial experience. I'm also really big into do-it-yourself projects. And I think that's enough about me, and I'll pass it along to Justin.
Hi, everybody. I'm Justin. I am a graduate of Old Dominion University. I've been in the finance and accounting field for about 7 years. I'm a big Lakers and Cowboys fan, so anything that involves those two sports franchises, I'm 100% in. Over the past year, I've recently purchased my house. I'm big into real estate, credit, and financial literacy. I hope to share my knowledge and experience with you all and to answer any questions that you may have of me. I'm going to pass it back to TJ.
Okay, now we have Danny Ocean.
Hello, my name is Danny Ocean. I host a podcast on Tuesday nights, 7 o'clock, Speak On It with a good friend of mine, Los Mix. And just like here, we're going to talk about sports. We're going to get off these jokes. I've been writing about sports for about 5 years now, especially with the highlight on the intersection of race and sports and politics and sports. Like I said, we're here to have fun. We're here to have serious conversations, and I'm gonna pass it back to TJ.
All right, thank you, Danny. And now we're going to hear from Dr. J.
Going on, everybody. I am Dr. J. I'm also an ODU in physical therapy. I've been practicing for 10 years now. I own my own practice, Created Players PT, which is a health-based company. We're trying to help everybody get better, whether that's through weight loss or performance programs, where they need to reduce their injury risk or if they're trying to just enhance themselves overall. I've been teaching a little bit over the past few years. I also teach at ODU right now. So what I'm going to bring to the podcast is a little bit of insight of some of the health and fitness aspects that are going to affect sports, and it's also going to affect our daily life. I'm also a team doctor for the Seven City Veterans basketball programs, ABA basketball. It's been revived, red, white, blue ball, just like Dr. J today with the New Jersey Nets and the Virginia Squires. We got that league going again now, so I helped them out on the weekends when they play their games. That's enough about me, though. I'm going to throw it back to TJ. We'll keep this thing rolling.
All right, you may think, why would we start this podcast? I really felt that my friends are really great in their own aspect. They really have stood out in their own individual fields. So kind of like the Justice League come together and put out some good content for us all. So I reached out to some of my closest friends and just to come together and see if we could put out some great content about finances, health, sports, because we all like to talk about sports. And, that's kind of what we all originally bonded over was sports. So just to bring that together and to put that out and maybe show the next generation or the current generation some useful tips and something to just look forward to during the week, maybe to listen to or in their own life to adopt it with some health tips or some financial tips or something to look at, another way to look at sports. So if I pass it to Justin, just ask him, like, why did you want to buy into this?
I wanted to buy into this because I thought it would be great to converse back and forth to each other on different topics when it came to sports, financial literacy, different current events, as well as trying to share our knowledge with how not to continue to beat the 9-to-5 job. I wanted to make sure that my knowledge on investments, on credit, on real estate, which I've delved super deep into over this past year. I wanted to make sure that some of the questions that I had, that I was able to discuss them with you all, and also some of the questions that you have, I wanted to be able to do my best to explain it to you, because there are so many different avenues to make money while also working your 9 to 5. So I just wanted to bring that kind of information to the podcast so that we're able to help other people who look like us, who don't look like us, and who are our age, to, just to make sure we're spreading that kind of knowledge.
All right, Mr. Danny Ocean. Why'd you decide to sign on? Because I know I asked you, so.
I signed up to bring our group chat to life, right? Our group chats are very interesting in regards to a lot of things, especially sports, and I believe that our friendship is strong enough where we can get on here, and I mean, things might get heated. We might have a disagreement, but once we stop hitting record, we're still friends. Like, we're still hanging out, we're still joking in the chat, and to talk about the Mavericks and how last night Luka hit a 30-footer to put a dagger in the Lakers' heart on national television. Anyone see that? No one? No one saw? Oh man, you missed it. I think who did he put that in? Whose eye was that in? I think that was Caruso's eye, if I'm not mistaken.
That's fine.
The second time in 3 nights Luka's done that? Or am I mistaken? Is my math off?
He had Bron on him, so
I don't know. It could have been Jesus on him. He still would have hit that shot.
And they still below us, right?
No, by a game. Y'all are 5. We're 6 by a game. That's it.
17, but
that's it, baby. Luka coming.
Before we get too off topic, Dr. J, why did you decide to buy into this?
So, I bought into kind of, we all have a good relationship as far as the ideas we bring into the table, and the things that I do at work with physical therapy. We have to be able to do the stuff that we're talking about. We want to have to be able to enjoy sports and enjoy our financial freedom and enjoy the current events that's going on. So everything's going to tie and relate very, very well together. So I just think we'll be happy to bring more knowledge to people so they can live healthier lives and be prosperous, and just enjoy life.
100. All right. Does anybody have any stories about how we met or some of our past college adventures? I know a lot of stuff we're not going to air out on here, but if anybody like to share anything, in any past on the court experiences.
Just the joy we have. I think that's the basis of this friendship, was just, the joy of hooping together, right? Like, I feel like a lot of lifelong relationships are made and ended on the basketball court. And luckily for the 4 of us, it was created and it's been going strong ever since.
Yeah. I'll say a little something. I remember when I first told TJ I was coming to ODU. I met TJ back when I was in 7th grade, and we definitely talked and hung out up through high school and stuff like that. But I wouldn't say we were super close. And then when I told him I was going to ODU, he was like, "Oh, okay." I was like, "Well, I'm gonna be at ODU again." He was like, "Oh, okay, cool." And then come to find out, it went from being, "Oh, okay, cool," to me being over his off-campus apartment every weekend, to hanging out and partying and just kind of doing the regular college kid stuff. So our relationship / friendship, super blossomed from middle school to college. So, in which of course I met both of y'all through TJ as well.
Mm-hmm. So we, like Dr. J said, we got to get another game of 7s going so we can prove to Danny Ocean that his jumper still broke.
That shooter on the pod by a mile, not even close.
So
can't about the pod this
jumper, man. Y'all gonna believe me?
Say what now, Doc?
I showed Curry how to shoot this jumper. He took notes from me. You know what I'm saying?
Just because you his grandfather don't mean you taught him how to shoot.
Hey man, Clay. You know what I'm saying? Taught them boy how to splash. I was the first one. I was a splash only child. See what I'm saying?
Got you.
You was the puddle only child. That's all it was. You ain't had that much splash. You were just a puddle.
Oceans. We oceans. You know what I'm saying? Splash. But it's been good to know y'all though, man. I know I met TJ and Justin through Danny Ocean. I met Danny playing basketball and Uno and all kind of foolishness at ODU with RAs together. So it's just been good, man. And we get one more person to bring your best five. We can see y'all.
Oh yeah, we definitely have other friends that will definitely be joining us through this journey of our podcast. So you'll definitely have our five. So we welcome that challenge when things open back up. Because you got to outshoot us to beat us.
Thanks.
and what are the rules? Hand down, man. Mama, there goes that man.
Just put Mike Bring saying bang on the loop, and that's all it's gonna be. That's all it's gonna be, baby.
Yes.
All right, Danny Ocean, what you got for us in sports today?
We have the draft on Thursday night is round 1. The 4 of us, we decided to sit down and do a mock draft, top 10 picks, no trades. We're going to each sit here and go over our picks and maybe discuss some discrepancies and where everyone is wrong and where my picks are right. So if you are a gambler, put some money on these picks and make sure to split the profits with me. Remember, if you do gamble, daily fantasy, report your earnings to the IRS because they will find you, pay your taxes. So at number 1, I have Jacksonville taking Trevor Lawrence. I think that's pretty evident across the board. At 2, I think the Jets are going to talk themselves into Zach Wilson. I don't understand the hype, but whatever. Man can be Coastal Carolina. At 3, I don't think San Francisco is a front office of idiots. I think they traded heaven and earth for Justin Fields because you could have gotten Mac Jones where you were originally. At 4, the Falcons, who are going to determine the trajectory of the rest of this draft. I have them taking Kyle Pitts, even though they should try to find a way to get Justin Fields or Trey Lance, whoever's still on the board, because you can get rid of Matt Ryan next year. You have a new coaching regime, and they usually want to draft their guy. And any team that drafts at 4 should plan never to draft at 4 for a long time. So in your top 5, you get a top 5 player, and it's usually a quarterback. I have Cincinnati taking Penei Sewell, the tackle from Oregon. This week, the Bengals did a team picture, and Joe Mixon was on the throne. You saw the scar on Joe Burrow's leg. They are not taking Jamar Chase after seeing that scar. They're going to draft someone to protect him. At 6, Miami is the winner of this draft. They get Jamar Chase, their wide receiver from LSU. I think Detroit, if there is going to be a trade outside of 4 in Atlanta, it's going to be Detroit. I have a feeling New England might sweet talk their way up into the top 10 to draft the 4th or 5th quarterback left on the board. But Detroit is going to take Jalen Waddle from Alabama to help replace Kenny Galladay. Carolina settled for Sam Darnold. They need to protect him. They're going to draft Rashawn Slater, the tackle from Northwestern. Denver, another winner. They're going to get somehow the prized possession of Mac Jones at number 9 at quarterback. And then the Dallas Cowboys are going to draft Patrick Surtain at 10, the cornerback from Alabama, and ruin his career as they've done with so many prominent SEC corners in the past 10 years.
All right, that sounds good. I know me personally, we have quite a few of the same picks, but it's a few differences in there somewhere. I think who'd you have for number 2 again? Who'd you have for number 2, Danny Ocean?
I have the Jets taking Zach Wilson.
Word, me too. I also have Atlanta with Kyle Pitts, but I think we also differ for the Panthers because you said they were drafting an O-lineman as well, right?
Yes.
Yes, but I have them drafting Christian Darrisaw out of Virginia Tech.
Okay.
I think he's going to go second because that's a big boy. He can move. So who wants to go next to kind of put their picks out there in the atmosphere?
I'll go ahead.
All right.
Where I have pretty much I had the same at the top 3 picks that Danny Ocean had. Where mine differs a bit is I have Detroit actually taking where's Detroit at? Are they 8?
7.
7. Okay, well, I actually have Detroit taking Devontae Smith because I don't think you traded Jared Goff, traded for Jared Goff to not give him any weapons because you're not gonna really be able to see where your investment is. I do have, and then after Detroit, I got Carolina taking Jalen Waddle. I feel like he is too good of an offensive player. And as you can see with Tyreek Hill, speed kills. So I feel like Jalen Waddle will be able to kind of cover up some of the defensive mistakes they'll probably have in the meantime. And try and put up some points. But 9 and 10, I had the same as Danny Ocean.
One thing I did notice about yours, Justin, your last 4 picks are Bama picks. Is that a little Bama biased or what?
They just the best players in the draft.
All right. All right. Doc J, what you got for us?
All right. I got all the controversy in the world. I got Trey Lance going 1, although I almost wanted to go Justin Fields number 1, Ohio State connection, with a little swerve on people. But we got Trevor going 1 though. 2, I got Trey Lance. All right. Now I'm gonna talk y'all into it. Small school,
Please.
just like Carson Wentz. Big on just like what you got, Josh Allen, right? And good decision making, no turnovers. All right. So I got him at 2, mainly because I really want Zach Wilson to succeed. Right. I want him to go to 49ers at 3. I think really who goes to the Jets, they're gonna be out back regardless. But I'm trying to tell y'all on Trey Lance. But Zach Wilson at 3, I follow him. I like him because I see him not have the best around him. So I wonder what he could be like if he does have some talent around. I know he didn't look good against Coastal Carolina, but again, you can't drag the whole team all the time. See what I'm saying? So if you give him something to work with, I think he's pretty good. I like he puts the ball where it should be, and it looks like he does it easily. You know what I'm saying? As far as the effort he has to exert. But we put that to the side. I got the Falcons taking Justin Fields at number 4, if he's still there. He's from Georgia. We'll keep him there. We can make the transition from Matt Ryan. I got the Bengals taking Jamar Chase next. You mentioned Joe Burrow. That's his homie. So we're going to make him happy. We can have a good offensive line. Ain't nothing wrong with that. We got to protect the backside. But I'm holding on to the ball now. And now my alignment look bad. Now I'm going to think he a bust. Let me get him some help on the outside, right? So then I got the Dolphins taking Sewell next, because if we're going to stick with Tua, he's going to need some extra time, because he does not look like the same person that I saw win the national championship game. I think he might be damaged goods at this point. Not that he can't win some games, but you're not getting what you saw that sold the hype. I think that ship just sailed. We got Devontae Smith going to the Lions next. I'm just going to take a chance on the Heisman and get some help for Jared Goff. I'm not big on Jared Goff, but we won't get on that tangent. I got Kyle Pitts going to the Panthers. If that's just because he's going to be there somehow, some way, if somebody else doesn't take him already, because I think he's that good, but it's a lot of other needs that's going to make him fall. Not that should be at the top. I got the Broncos taking a linebacker. They just need help on defense. I'm not going to give them a quarterback to help that franchise out at all. I'm a Chiefs fan. I'd rather not see them in the NFL altogether. But as far as the Broncos go, last but not least, Patrick Surtain, we're going to the Cowboys, give us help in the secondary. They could use that linebacker as well, but I think he's going to be gone already. And then, well, they stuck with Dak. And I think Dak is probably the top 10 quarterback in the league, but top 10 is way too far from number 1. So they kind of stuck where they are. But you could do a lot worse. And I'm not saying that Dak is trash, but you just kind of set up for middle of the round. You know what I mean? So that's what I got for those picks.
Dr. J, I have a couple of questions for you.
Get some questions. All right.
The first one is, so Trey Lance has only started 17 games. Like, is that enough to get him drafted 2nd overall? Like, that seems like a really tall order for a guy who started 17 games in Division I AA.
New York Jets. That's why I say that.
Okay, so you're banking on their incompetence. Correct.
I told you that pick is designed to get Zach Wilson to the 49ers.
And that's the follow-up question. So for the Zach Wilson love, is it falling in love because of that throw from his pro day? Because Justin Fields made the exact same throw, and I feel like Justin is just getting disrespected. He played in a Power 5 conference. He murdered Trevor Lawrence this year after breaking his rib. He threw the same amount of touchdowns and completions at the highest level, like within that, in the college football playoff. And it's just like, it's okay. He's from Ohio State. And meanwhile, Zach Wilson, again, he can't carry the whole team, but he looked like trash against Coastal Carolina.
Got something for all of that. All
right.
Pro days. Throw them out the window. All right. You're supposed to look good your pro day. If it looked terrible, like Tua did when he come off injury, that's what we're looking at. All right. Now, what I saw, I looked at the game of it. All right. Justin Fields always been around good players. We can go from high school to Ohio State. That's why he ended up in Ohio State, because it was too much talent where he was, right? So life ain't never been hard for him ever. See what I'm saying? Now, Zach Wilson, he didn't look good in Coastal Carolina, but he probably mailed it in because he know he going top 5, and I'm not risking injury. Because I've seen Jadeveon Clowney do the same thing. I've seen him do one play.
That was the biggest game of the year for them. For BYU was that Coastal Carolina game.
It's all just wrong football too, man. I mean, they ain't have business being on TV. You know what I'm saying? Let's call it what it is. Like I look at it coming from when you're a quarterback, you never gonna have an ideal situation ever, and he's been well prepared for that. And I think Justin Fields is not. Not to say that outside of football he might not have had an ideal situation there, but that can take you a long way. But I mean, some of these Ohio States, Traylon, what's your boy, Trevor Lawrence, the same way. I could disrespect him, but you always ran about talent.
Yeah. To follow up on the Justin Fields, that's actually, I have a question for TJ with that. I know months and months, since last year, TJ has been telling us in the group chat, oh, I want Justin Fields. I want Justin Fields. So my question is, TJ, did something this year kind of take you off of that Justin Fields train, or do you just think that y'all just gonna stick with Matt Ryan for a couple more years?
No, I still want Justin Fields, but looking at the situation Atlanta's in right now, I really don't think that they will take Justin Fields. I mean, because they're kind of in a rebuild mode, but they still have a bunch of good key players that are there with a new head coach. And I think if they take Pitts, then that will shore up that offense. So that'll make the new head coach job just a little bit easier his first year. We're not having to worry about a rookie mistakes or will the rookie play. It's because Matt Ryan still has another year on his deal. He even restructured to stay there. So, I mean, Matt Ryan should play. But if you have a Justin Fields who can run, who can make the offense a little bit more high flying, there's going to be a little more controversy there. So I think if you take that out the equation for the first time head coach, to show up the offense, then he can really focus on defense, and he might put something together his first year there.
Yeah.
So that's why I went there, just more on the Atlanta side, what's good for them for next year per se, maybe not the future, because I think yes, get a Trey Fields, and maybe Matt Ryan could be a backup, because we really don't have a backup either. Like just to move on to the next generation, if he's willing to stay in Atlanta and take a pay cut at being a backup.
Yeah.
But I have one more thing to add to that. Lance going to San Francisco, because I had Lance going to San Francisco, but I know with the whole Colin Kaepernick thing, do you really think a black quarterback is going to succeed in San Francisco?
Oh yeah, if he win in games, absolutely.
I mean, took him to a Super Bowl, and as soon as he did one thing, they turned on him.
That's because he missed the throw. Yeah, Jimmy Garoppolo was kind of like an anomaly.
No, I'm going to talk about y'all talking about Cap.
Yeah, but Cap started to be kind of on the decline. So it was more so, it's one of those things where they'll tolerate when you're winning and when you're playing well. But if you start to decline and you're doing a little extra off of the field / on the field in front of the spotlight, then they're not really gonna, they're not gonna be into that. And I think when Trump coming on there and saying some extra things, it kind of put more pressure on Colin Kaepernick to play well. And then since he wasn't playing that fantastic, it kind of allowed them to kind of like push him off to the side a bit.
Wasn't Harbaugh still there then?
Yes.
And Cap. So Cap was injured most of that year, right? His numbers were down, and then the next year coming in, he started taking a knee, and that's when the production was not there from the previous year, and then that year wasn't his best year.
Right. But so a convenient lineup, because some of this decline. I mean, he got hurt, but how about your coach?
I mean, I don't know if it was a declining thing more so than he never really got a chance to play after fully recovering from an injury. So then you can use that as an excuse to, well, he's not producing, so he doesn't have, the leash or the cachet to also protest at the same time. But yeah, a black quarterback can definitely succeed in San Francisco. Nick Bosa is there. Like, I feel like a black quarterback would be just fine if he's winning.
Correct.
I know you can say something, Dr. J.
I pushed the wrong button real quick. No, as far as like getting in shape for the draft and whatnot, that's something we can touch on a little bit real quick, if that's all right.
All right, yeah, we can go there.
All right, we've got, general conditioning that we're trying to look at. So one thing players can do is just have a good baseline training program where they have a periodized program. That's something that just about anybody can adapt that concept, even if they're not playing in a certain sport, because it allows you to break it down into sections of what you're working on, and that way you don't break your body down too hard. We can talk about that in future shows, not to go on a tangent. So get a good foundation, and then they're going to zero in, depending on what position they play, they might focus their attention in other places. For example, you're running 40 times, you're going to see the linemen run a little bit slower compared to the receivers. So the receivers might go ahead, and running backs, for that matter, they might zoom in a little bit more, that speed work, or they might really focus on their technique right before the draft, because you can get a couple microseconds, and we splitting hairs at this point, right? So whatever little advantage you can get is going to come to play. Some of the bigger guys, they might focus more on the bench press, build some chest strength at the last minute, or some endurance, really, because everybody's going to be at 225. So a lot of guys are going to weight lift heavier than that. So we're going to be focusing on endurance more than anything. And that's important for football, because we want to push just as hard first quarter as fourth quarter or overtime, depending on what's going on. So you got your cone drills and your shuttle runs, that's looking at agility, how fast you can change direction and that type of thing. So training wise, you want to make sure you are flexible and able to change direction as well. So being that we mentioned injuries, depending on if somebody's coming off of a ACL or ankle sprain or something like that, that can really affect their combine or their pro day and that type of thing. So some people, they skip the combine, and some of that can be to hide more than to showcase. So a lot of experts will tell you that the combine can only hurt you more than it can help you, because game film should speak louder. So, but that's just kind of the little stuff I wanted to mention on that part.
All right. Does anyone have any questions? All right, go ahead, Justin.
Yeah, actually, to kind of piggyback off some of the things you said about skipping the combine or skipping certain drills. I know, for example, Patrick Surtain, one of his biggest knocks is that he's not quick. So he decided not to run the 3-cone because that would have exposed his change of direction. So if you would like to go a little bit further, on that topic, Marlon, Doc.
Say the 3-cone drill, you got to have, fluid hips. You got to, and a lot of that's going to start more in your abdominal muscles than the actual hip itself, right? They work together just like a team. So if one's not quite as functioning well as it could, it can affect the other one. So some of the exercises you can do to help improve those, we got different Russian twists, but not to get too deep into exercise. Some of that would make better sense if we had demonstration, and that's not this venue for that. But what I was getting to is, if you can improve your core function, that can improve some of the drills that we're seeing. Flexibility is another good one too. But one thing that is becoming a little trend in physical therapy now is the concept of like true lack of flexibility, and then more of lack of flexibility because of lack of strength or muscle control. So what people are having to do now is not stretch quite as much, but actually strengthen. That way their body can trust the full range of motion that they actually have. So that's something that might help Patrick Surtain, that is a little bit of weightlifting, but to strengthen his abs and strengthen his leg muscles. And then, other parts of it, we're going to be the nervous system. How fast can you think to change direction? So, you can kind of work on some of that stuff too. And then when you're working on these drills, you can use that for your cardio instead of having to waste time running miles and miles, because you can do that in a different stage of your training. We got any more questions for me?
Yeah, I think we got one from Danny Ocean.
What you got for me, Danny?
So this is like a 2-part question for 2 different players who kind of have like some red flags. The first one is Caleb Farley, the corner for Virginia Tech. He's had back issues his career. He just had back surgery again to clean some stuff up. So if you were advising him as a physical therapist, like what things would you focus on? Because right now, like he he's one of the corners that's falling and he's dropping fast because his medicals really aren't checking out. So if you were focusing on someone coming back from back surgery, how would you prepare them for the combine, the pro day, or just, training camp as a whole?
And you said he's a corner, correct?
Yeah, he's a corner.
Yeah. And you say he had what type of surgery?
So he's they didn't specify, but he's had back issues and he had back surgery maybe a month or two ago to help clean some issues up that he's been having.
Okay. I guess it depends a little bit more on the actual type of surgery you had to give you a full answer. If you think about cleaning out some stuff, they might be just trimming a little bit of bone around to make more space where the nerve comes out. That's not quite as concerning as if it was like a fusion, where now we're going to take some rods and we're going to make two bones into one, and that'll get a nerve more space. But what you're going to watch out for is issues above and below the area that they worked on. So strengthening wise, we got no time to slack on glute and lower body, upper body as well, because the back is in the middle. So everything kind of got to get worked on with him. And then he's actually going to probably want to really focus on his tackling technique. That's something that I can't speak on completely because I'm not a football coach, but just to make sure that he's proceeding with the best caution without turning him into Deion Sanders that's running from contact. But I mean, he'll have to take a little caution. He might not want to be quite as reckless. I mean, I might not try to hit stick on Derrick Henry with his back. Not to say I'm gonna run from the hit, but because we gotta contain the edge, whatever it is. But you gotta protect the investment. Is what I'm getting to. So it's for him, all season time. This is not the time to be slacking whatsoever. Make sure we stay flexible, staying hydrated so the muscles don't cramp, all that type of stuff.
And then the second part of the question was Devontae Smith. I mean, he had the only red flag is his size, right? Like I think he's 166. If you were advising him, there's no way you can put on 15 pounds of muscles from now into the draft, but how would you get him prepared for training camp?
Mm-hmm. Training camp is the default set for his whole career because this problem not going to go away. So if we can get 5 this offseason and 10 the next, some people can't put on 10 in the offseason, so 15 we really pushing it. So just get as much out as you can. And then he got to play smart. He got like on Marvin Harrison, he get his yards, he get down, he got out of bounds, But it can be done, especially if you're fast enough, because now I can get away. I mean, you see Tyreek Hill, he takes some hits, but Tyreek Hill, you rarely see him taking a big hit. He know how to get down and protect himself.
So how does a receiver like that gain that weight without losing their explosion and speed?
Well, because even though you're going to build that extra mass, it's going to be mass that's going to generate force. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like sprinters in the Olympics. If you ever see them, they're not really, really big, but they're not small whatsoever because it's concentrated. That's the way I can put it. Muscles are going to have weight. Going to be so. And then football, you need a little cushion of fat. You need that for rainy days in case you miss a meal and that kind of stuff. Pull for energy wise, but he can do that. He can build that in without getting small. I mean, if you look at Tyreek Hill from his rookie year to now, he's bigger, but definitely faster.
All right, that sounds good. So, Justin, what are some keys that these new rookie players really gonna have to think about after they get drafted with the whole contracts and they're setting their financials up for life? I mean, what are some things that you suggest or some avenues or people that they should get in their life now to help them set them up for the future?
I think that they should, number one, have a good CPA. Right now, especially in the NFL and the NBA and the MLB, a lot of them are bringing in different speakers that kind of go over different financial literacy techniques, different ways to invest their money and everything like that. But most importantly, I would say is the number that you see for Trevor Lawrence signed a 4-year, $32 million guaranteed contract or whatever. That's not actually what they're going to get. It'll actually probably be half of that because now that they're in a different tax bracket, their income, they're going to be taxed at the highest rate. So my thing is, if I were advising an NFL or NBA or MLB player, I would say, hey, do not spend your first contract like it's your biggest one. Your second contract is where you get your money. So tell all your friends, your mom, your family members, like, hey, I can't buy you the Escalade truck right now. Mama, I can't buy you the house just yet. I'll make sure if you're renting right now, you don't have to pay rent, but I can't buy you the house just yet because you don't know how your career is going to turn out. And so to give you a couple examples of some guys who actually kept their money and didn't spend any of their rookie contracts: Rob Gronkowski, Alvin Kamara, Marshawn Lynch, Jason Tatum. Those are examples of some guys who said, hey, I'm only going to live off my endorsement money. And so with that, they're already building a pattern of saving their money. And so another thing that kind of tricks some of these young guys is you're going to have all these people come at you and say, hey, invest into my business, invest into this different company. Don't do that. Make sure you have the right team and personnel of people around you so that you can make educated decisions. In order to make money, you got to spend money, but you ain't got to spend all of it. And so a couple examples of some people who decided to spend all of it: Clinton Portis, Jamarcus Russell. Y'all remember him? Who, boy, didn't even watch game film, so y'all know he won't go be smart with his money. Lawrence Taylor, Vince Young. So a lot of these high profile people assumed that they were going to continue to have this highfalutin lifestyle, and they spent like they were making money every day. And so one other guy I want to kind of throw out there is Allen Iverson. His team was extremely smart. They made sure that he got, I believe, a contract that said that when he was 50 years old, they were going to give him like 50 million or something like that. So they made sure that Allen Iverson wasn't going to be broke, because I saw a video on him a couple of years back. He said he was spending $10,000 to $15,000 a month on clothes. Boy, you can't change your clothes like that every single day. So it's one of these things when you feel like you got all this money coming in and stuff like that, that is going to continue to come in. So players just got to be really responsible with how they spend their money.
All right, Danny Ocean.
So yeah, I have a question to that. So if you were advising a rookie, what kind of team does he need to build around him? You said did CPA, like what else should they put around themselves?
I would say they need to have an insurance person, like an insurance guy. For example, if Dak Prescott would have broken his arm or something like that, he was paying into an insurance policy that would have covered him for years on down the road. Would the premium be high? Of course it would. So I would say a CPA. I would say an insurance person. I would also say a financial advisor. I would also say a lawyer, because with more money comes more problems. So you want to make sure that you are properly diversifying your assets and also protecting your assets. I would also say that you would want to have a relationship with a banker, because you don't want to have your CPA and your banker be holding hands, because they can tell you one thing and you not looking at your numbers. So I would always have multiple people that can kind of create a system of checks and balances.
Yeah, and another thing I like to add to that, not only having the people around you, but taking the time out and getting some education yourself. Because if you don't know what they're talking about, like you don't know the difference between an asset and a liability, it's going to be very hard to be in that room and know what's going on. So if you just get a baseline level of knowledge, it will help out in the long run so much. Like those people are the experts, and that's who you need to refer to, but you still need a small baseline knowledge. So you can go to, like they say, go to YouTube University, and it can help a lot. Just have some baseline knowledge. So what's another thing that they could help out with? I do know like people who aren't necessarily the stars, so they don't get a whole bunch of endorsements. It's because like they say the average contract or the average player only plays 3 years in the NFL. So we people get that quick money, but that's about it. Like, should they be really focused on having a plan for after the NBA or the NFL, or can you actually live off that type of money for the rest of your life off a 3-year contract?
I think with anything, I never think it's about the money that you make. I always think it's about the expenses. You can make $1 million a year and have $1.2 million in expenses, and you will forever be broke. So I think that in the beginning, if you're a practice player, or even if you're a star player, we'll focus specifically on the practice players, but I would say invest in index funds, maybe invest in real estate, get a good real estate agent to kind of explain to them, hey, like, these are my goals. This is the kind of money that I would like to have in the future. And also make sure you get a financial advisor that has been recommended. Do your own research, but at the end of the day, talk to some players on your team. Talk to some players that you played, football, basketball, baseball with, because the best people are the people that have been referred, because yeah, TJ told me about him. He won't that good. But Danny Ocean told me about this guy, and he has a couple of years of experience with him. So let me go with the guy Danny Ocean showed me. So it's truly, at the end of the day, it's really not about the money that you make. It's about the money that you spend. So as long as you are keeping your expenses low, then you'll be able to live just fine. Because again, there's only it's the 1% club. 1% of people make the NBA, 1% make the NFL, 1% make the MLB. So all of us are living just fine without making that type of money. So it's again, I don't want to, kind of sound like a broken record, but just don't have your expenses high.
Understood. Yeah. So going into like this image thing, I know people players really stress a lot on their image. I read this article saying the NFL actually put this out, saying that the image should be thought about, but it should not be their priority. But as we see that people change the whole social media around, I mean, there's a whole job opportunity for being social media coordinators, image consultants. So this perceived image that the people have is very important. Is, as the article said, that it's something that takes years to build, but it can be ruined in a split second. So let's discuss that a little bit about how players really have to deal with this image thing and how they being perceived, especially going into the draft, and how that could maybe affect the teams that want to draft more, how the teams perceive them.
I'll take the first crack at that one. A famous example we know is Laremy Tunsil, how he's waiting to get drafted. He's all excited. And all of a sudden, he's got the gas mask on, smoking some weed. So again, did that change any of his game film? Did that change how the kind of left tackle he was going to be when he was on the field? No, it didn't. But when you got somebody at the top that is saying, I'm willing to make millions of dollars of an investment on you, they want you to be as squeaky clean as possible. So I think that it's smart for these players to take into account that, hey, I want to make sure my image is clean, number one, just so I can get drafted. But also, what is your image going to look like when you're done playing? So it's good to get a jump start on that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the biggest part is like especially we're talking about like your past tweets, as long as you don't have anything that's sexually suggestive or, I mean, we've even let the racism slide, but I think that's the biggest thing we look for, right? Because like Justin said, Laremy Tunsil is about to get drafted. Video comes out of him in the gas mask getting high, and then Nick Bosa is about to get during his draft process. Like it didn't affect him at all, right? Because he still was the best DN in that class, like his racist tweets and all that other stuff. So I mean, images, like the NFL said, image is extremely important, but I think it also, we need to acknowledge about who it's important for. And that's mostly like a coded term to Black players, right? Because like I said, we've seen white players in the past, tweets come out like racially suggestive things or downright racist stuff, and it doesn't affect them at all. It's more so aimed towards people of color in the things we tweet and say on our accounts.
Yeah, also, like I said, this was a great article. The article also goes to say that image is so important because us as fans just wants to know more about the player. So we do the social media. We want to be in the player's life at all times. We want to know everything, and we also hold these players to such a high standard that the average thing that they might do is something that we would do, but we shun them for it. So as many players have been out there who got a DUI, I mean, this DUI is bad. Don't get me wrong. None of us want a DUI. None of us have had a DUI, and we honestly don't plan on getting one because we're more responsible than that. But the people who gets DUIs every day, every week, like it's a common thing, especially for a lot of these people in college. But let a player who wants to get drafted get a DUI. You know what I'm saying? It all depends, like you said, it all depends on who they are, if it's going to be talked about a lot or not talked about a lot. And also the article goes on to say that a lot of these people who get endorsement deals receive a whole bunch of them when they first get in, but they turn down more than they accept because those endorsements may how they may affect their image going down the road. And they always want to hold out for that one good deal. Because a lot of these deals are like exclusive deals. Like you can't wear these shoes if you sign with these people. And another great example that they gave was Reggie Bush when he first got drafted to New Orleans, and how he spent a lot of his money with the Katrina effort when he first got there, which paid him a lot of goodwill off the field, which made the fans really want to cheer for him on the field. So it made endorsements with like Nike and Adidas a lot more popular because he had such an off-the-field presence and he actually did work on the field.
So I got a little question then.
Mm-hmm.
Can I reach and say that your conditioning will affect your image and your image can affect your conditioning, right? So you mentioned endorsements. You think Nike gonna call the person that don't take their training program serious, or you talking about this corner that the image of him is perceived that he's injury prone with this back you talking about, it's gonna mess him up. But it was also a little controversy. I'll say Derrick Rose, Eric Berry, and there's one more, and RG3. They all had a lot of injuries. They also all wore Adidas. That can affect the bottom line right there. So, picking a good shoe is important to make sure that you stay on the field. So with these endorsements, I guess that's something they got to watch out for too, is make sure they pick the right company, the right product, to make sure they don't hurt themselves. But that's a whole other tangent too, which companies have the best products as far as picking a good thing to make sure you got a good endorsement and taking care of your body.
But to say one thing on that though, because you brought up Adidas, that's why I personally will never wear Adidas. Is I know it's a thing in my head because people say Adidas is probably one of the most comfortable shoes you ever wear. But look at all the big names that were signed to Adidas. They have tore something up in their knees. If it was Derrick Rose, what's his name? John Wall.
John Wall, yep.
Reggie Bush also had Adidas after he went to Nike for a little bit. And then also RG3. I mean, they all big Adidas contracts and their knees are shot.
I'm gonna give RG3 half a break because he should not have got drafted that high. I mean, it was a lot of red flags with him outside.
Really?
Yeah, like he was an example in class. Like it was that bad. When he does the vertical jump test, his knees collapse right in. Like they're gonna tear his ACL. You could see it. Dude, I went to school with at Avery. He actually advised them not to draft him. But we're talking about image. The image was we can make some money, and Dan Snyder said, "Well, let's get him." So yeah, and then they pushed him #week1 for the image. So yeah, man. This the full circle of this podcast, man. I love it. Everything tied together.
So are you saying from a physical therapy standpoint, they shouldn't have drafted RG3? They should have forecasted something like this happening?
Yeah, I mean, he tore his ACL in college, I think, and then definitely in the pros. I mean, you could see it coming. I mean, he looked kind of fragile. So, I mean, but he won the Heisman, right? Or he's at least a Heisman candidate. So, big name coming in. I mean, he good dude. He could have played better. I mean, but they didn't really set him up for success either. I mean, they rushed him back on the field a couple times. He played called him. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, let's say Mike Shanahan left him out to die. He tore his ACL against Baltimore, then he was out playing in Seattle on a thread.
You know what I'm saying?
On that turf, not that turf, that swamp, that cow pasture of a field in DC.
Yeah. But then Alex Smith also has a complaint against the same organization because he considers them to be detrimental to his rehab process. He said they kind of sabotaged him. I guess his recovery interfered with their financial plan. So maybe the organization, their image needs a little work too. So
Can I throw someone? This is an image that I have. I have a question about an image when it comes to the owners. How come theirs is totally different? Robert Kraft, he just got to skate like the stuff he was doing.
They're rich white men.
I was gonna say that's money, man.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
rich. That's rich white men all the way. Why Jerry Jones could do what he could do? He rich
Oh,
white
he the
dude.
man. He the man though, but that's beside the point.
No, he out here charging Texas residents $30,000 for a light bill. No, he not the man.
You're welcome.
he was part of that group. I thought that was a dude from Germany.
Wow, that was Jerry Jones was part of that.
No, don't bluff.
I mean,
Don't
Jeffrey
bluff.
Lord, the owner of the Eagles, like he a rich white man too. He would skate with the same stuff. Like it doesn't matter who the owner is. They're all
Jerry
rich
was
white.
giving discounts. Jerry was giving
You know they
discounts.
say jail's only for the poor.
That's right. Jail is only for the poor.
If you can afford a good lawyer, you can get away with almost anything.
Robert Kraft down these massage parlors getting happy endings, and we don't even care. He get to float.
But Deshaun Watson, don't you do it.
That money not the same. Millionaire money and billionaire money, totally two different things.
It's also
Deshaun-
not the same.
Check signing and
Deshaun
check
gets
cashing.
his I say Deshaun get his money from the billionaire.
Exactly. It's another thing when you cash your checks, another when you write them.
That's wrong. Yeah, Dr. J just said. Yeah.
Get the side of check. Boy.
Yeah. So before we get up out here, does anybody have any last words, anything they want to say, put out an atmosphere?
Yeah, the Cowboys winning the Super Bowl this year.
Yeah, I was just going to say, listen to Speak On It Tuesday nights at 7, but now we're going to talk about how the Cowboys are going to ruin another SEC corner's career like they have the past 10 years.
It's okay.
I'll just say my team is fortunate enough to trade their draft pick for a real player, getting our offensive line together so we can go continue this rivalry. Chiefs versus Buccaneers Part 2 is my prediction for the season.
All right.
With a LeBron back-to-back before that.
Yeah.
Luke on the way.
Let's hope the Lakers can pull out another back-to-back, because we win them in threes, but who knows? The Falcons, they got a tough decision to make ahead. So anyway, let's get up out here. Until next time, please go follow us on Instagram at Who's Up Podcast. If you have any questions for us or any topics that you may want to hear, please shoot us an email at 1-800-WHO'S UP. And thank y'all for joining.